Hi, so today I'm going to go over how to change a string, and this will work for violin, viola, cello, even bass, although the peg's going to be a little bit different. Now, if you ever change a string, whether because it broke or it's just old and you want to change it, only change one string at a time. You can change the full set, but only take off one and replace that one as you go. If you take them all off, then there's no more pressure on the instrument or tension, which can allow the bridge to fall over, which that probably will happen, and then also possibly have that sound post that's inside of there fall over, which we do not want to happen. That's a little more difficult to set back up. Okay, so I'm going to replace the D string here. So first thing we're going to do is loosen that D string peg and just take the string completely off. The string will hook onto two different places, down here by the tailpiece, and it'll string inside that peg. If you have a fine tuner like here, it'll hook into that fine tuner. For the tailpiece, it just hooks right inside of here. Usually the string will fit right in that way. A couple times for certain strings and certain tailpieces I've had to string it all the way in from underneath, but it should just hook right in there. Now the first thing I'm actually going to do is take some pencil lead and put some lead on the bridge here and where the nut is right here. This will help lubricate it a little bit so the string doesn't catch as easily. Now if you try to hook the string under here and then string it into the peg, often that will just come loose anyway. So I try to get a couple loops around in the peg. So I'm going to bring this up, and depending on how the peg is, this is a good time to add some peg compound to let that turn more smoothly. But this is pretty good right now. So you'll see a hole inside that peg. So all I'm going to do is string this into here and do a couple turns to the peg. Now I like to turn it a little bit to the outside and then curve back over top. That way it sort of locks that string in. You don't need to do that, it should stay in on its own, but it's just a little extra precaution. Now with things like viola, the strings might not always be the exact right size because the violas come in a lot of different sizes and they don't have exact measurements like they do for violin or for cello with the 3/4 or full size or half size strings. So sometimes I will clip the strings a slight shorter length, but no need to do that at first. Once I have a couple turns here, I'll bring the string back down, hook it inside this tailpiece, make sure it really hooks underneath there. And then as I turn this peg, I hold the string up with my thumb. That way it stays kind of tight as I do this. All of these steps right here are just to make it easy to put the string on. Very often I'll put a string on and then it'll come loose down here and come loose there. So that just helps keep that tight. Once it's on, I don't tune it all the way yet. That is not in tune just yet. As I tune this, I always check back at the bridge. When you put on new strings, it'll pull the bridge this way, and so you always want to check to make sure it is straight. Don't worry about tuning it all the way, and especially do not go too sharp. I've seen some people where they try to tune it sharp because they know it's going to loosen up, but you don't want to over tension the string. It's going to stretch out. Depending on what the material is, what string it is, some of them will settle in within the day, and some will take a few weeks to really settle in. So I'll just kind of stretch it and play the string for a little bit. And just do that. This string has a metal core, so it's actually going to settle in pretty fast. But that is all you need to tune the instrument. If you're using a fine tuner down here, it's a good time to reset the fine tuner and loosen that. But that is all you have to do. If you are stringing all 4 strings, start with the G, then do E, then D, then A. And if you're on a viola or cello, C, A, G, D. The reason is because that's the order of the pegs, and it's really easy to do one at a time that way. If you have any thoughts or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Let me also know anything that you are curious about that you would like a video on. Thank you very much.